for watching Numbskull News, and today I want to talk about the dream scenario for the Big 12 as far as what we're going to pull out of the ACC. And in case you're wondering, yes, we will be pulling teams from the ACC. If you don't believe me, ask Pac-12 fans. They'll tell you all about it. So without any further ado, let's see what that shit looks like. All right, people, these 6 teams. This is as good as it can possibly get for the Big 12. Miami, Louisville, UNC, NC State, Virginia, and Virginia Tech. Before I go any further, don't freak out, Hurricane fans. This is just hypothetical. I don't think Miami will be coming to the Big 12. I think they will get the Big 10 invite. However, as my mom used to tell me, you can think in one hand and shit in the other, see which one gets filled up the quickest. So even though I don't think this will happen, there is a chance. And if you do pull this off somehow, some kind of way, then I don't think it'll be much. I don't think it'll take a lot of arguing, a lot of fighting to get your media partners in ESPN and Fox to shill out just a sliver of more coin for Duke and Pitt. Give you a round number of 24 teams in this conference. What have I been saying the whole time? 24 is the floor. It is. This is the dream floor right here, people. However, I do have to say that Miami, ooh, that's a big pipe dream right there. Big old fat pipe dream. And it hurts me to do that. Like, how much expansion does the ESPN and Fox want to do with the Big 12? Well, content is king. ESPN does need the ACC content. But what are they willing to pay for it? This was the same thing with the Pac-12. There's a reason why both Fox and ESPN were willing to ante up and pay for 4 teams from the Pac to come in to the Big 12. Because they need the content, people. They want that content. The thing is, there are just some schools like Utah, like Colorado, like Arizona and Arizona State. There's a lot of positives with them going to the Big 10, but there's just not enough. They're not worth the money on that level. All right. So when you look at UNC or NC State or Virginia Tech, I'm telling you right now, they're not worth that money. However, I think ESPN and Fox will have no trouble at all, won't even bat an eye in adding those 4 to the Big 12. Louisville, they're too valuable to leave out. Absolutely. Duke and UNC, that rivalry is worth too much to ESPN. Now, I put in Pitt. Now, in this scenario where there's no Miami, let me just slide Pitt right over here. Are they a sure win? Are they a sure in? All right, because, the viewership, is it really that much better than Syracuse or Georgia Tech? I mean, you got, the markets here are insane. Syracuse is in New York. I know not New York City, but they still get pretty good ratings. Georgia Tech, Atlanta, Pitt, of course, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So these are serious Eastern markets that these schools are in. I think they have a pretty high floor as far as viewership goes, especially in the Big 12. I would love to put Syracuse, Pitt, and Georgia Tech all in the Big 12 with these other 6 schools, but that's just not going to happen. If somehow you miracle your way into Miami, it's easy to see. It's easy to see 8 schools going to the Big 12. But without Miami being that linchpin, the real linchpin here in this realignment scenario, and that's 7 schools, could you get an 8th? And I think unlike the Big Ten and especially the SEC. I don't think the SEC gives a damn if they have an even or odd number, as long as everybody's worth their weight as far as adding to the conference right now. You can say, you don't yell Vanderbilt or Mississippi State at me, okay? They've been in there for a long time in the SEC and they're not going anywhere. But they're not going to add another Vanderbilt. They're not going to add another Mississippi State, or they're not going to add another Arkansas. You understand? They're not doing that. They'll add a Florida State. They'll add a Clemson. You know, if somehow the SEC can get their hands on Notre Dame, they do that. But outside of those very, very few ads, they're not looking at it like that. And the media partners, especially in this market, they're not looking to go broke. So, but in the Big 12, you're talking about split costs between ESPN and Fox. 24-team conference sounds pretty good. Now, you got Syracuse and Georgia Tech. Who do you want? There's a lot of positives with both. I lean this way. I lean Syracuse, and the reason for it is the basketball. I think they are just a better brand in basketball than Georgia Tech. I wouldn't say either one is more successful than the other as far as football goes. And as far as football viewership goes, it's pretty close. At least it's been pretty close the last 3 years. They're right around each other. So, if I have to choose, and it's a tough choice, I may go ahead and choose the Orangemen because of that basketball. They have a little more pedigree. I think they have a little bit more success in that NCAA tournament and getting to the tournament and making noise in the tournament. So that's where that's kind of where I'm leaning right here. But I'll tell you what, that looks really good. Now, I do have some reservations about Miami. Just, is this just a stepping stone for them to get to the Big Ten one day? It might be, And I think that's my biggest thing. I don't want to hear from their fan base, we got to be in the Big 12. Well, don't get used to us being here because we're going to the Big Ten, man. I don't want to hear that shit all day long. I really don't. We may have to hear a little bit of it from UNC and UNC faithful. But we all know they're not going anywhere. Maybe if they win a couple championships in football, then they may go somewhere. Until that day, no. So this is the dream scenario right here. And this is far more of the reality here. And normally I went into this video really not looking at 8 teams at all. But you're talking, in this scenario, you're leaving out Georgia Tech. You're leaving out Boston College. You're leaving out Wake Forest. And I'm not even, look. Cal, Stanford, SMU. If the ACC blows apart, which I believe it will, just like the Pac did, those 3 will go back with Oregon State and Washington State. Because SMU's got to go somewhere. And at that point, they would have been, at least for a couple of years, a Power 5 school or a Power 4 school, an autonomous conference school. So there'll maybe a little more value with them. So they may be able to get in on whatever the Pac is doing, if the Pac is doing anything. No, ESPN wouldn't, I don't believe they would like a merger very much. But I think they would like to get a lot of these properties that do have value. There's some valuable properties in the ACC. They just don't have SEC or Big Ten value. And look, I've rattled off all kinds of shit about UNC, but let's get past them. Louisville. I love Louisville. I mean, that's a damn good college football program they have. It's also a damn good college basketball program they have. And why wouldn't the SEC take them? Because ESPN doesn't want to give them $100 million a year. All things considered. They just don't want to pay out that kind of money for Louisville. It's not Florida State. It's not Clemson. It's damn good. But it's not that. I love them. They're perfect ad for the Big 12. UNC, great ad with that basketball product. Fox would absolutely love to get UNC and to get Duke basketball, especially in the same conference in the Big 12. That way they can spotlight those games. They'd have to share them, of course, with ESPN, but at least they would get some of those rivalry games. So Fox would be all in on that shit. Now, it is a possibility that our media partners see those 8 teams and they say, all respect to Pitt, all respect to Syracuse, but we're only willing to do 6. Then you have a problem. Because in that scenario, people, we got to move Pitt and Syracuse out, and these will be our 6 teams. Because I can't see Pitt or Syracuse being more valuable than Duke. And I know a lot of people are like, Duke has no value. They got well over 1 million views a week last year on their football program. And usually they don't pull that number. Nowhere close to it. But they actually had a good season last year. I believe they won 8 games. And the Duke fans came to life. And if that's what they do in an 8-win season, give me Duke. Because I know they bring it. Those fans bring it with the basketball. If they can bring it like that with football, I'm all in. And I think the media partners are definitely all in. Duke and UNC, it's just too big a rivalry to separate it and be nothing. It really is. Now, when I see the viewership of Virginia Tech, I'll tell you what. Syracuse, Pitt, Georgia Tech. I'll take either one of those. Give me one of those over Virginia Tech. But the reputation of Virginia Tech, the media partners, I think, despite the shithole viewership they have right now, are going to say no to that. Virginia actually gets they've been dog shit and still get pretty respectable viewership. It's not 1 million a week, but it's under that. But it's close enough to 1 million that if they got to 8-9 wins one year, they'll go well above 1 million views a week with Virginia. So I don't got a problem at all with Virginia. And they are a brand in basketball. All right, they're not a blue blood. They're not the top shelf. But they're, a couple rungs under that. But still damn good. High quality. High quality. And by the way, I'm not basing any of this on market. I don't give a shit. This is all going to streaming anyway. And the Big 12, we don't have a network. There's no carriage fees anyway. So screw that. Because if this is about market, Georgia Tech's in. Syracuse is in. All right, I'm throwing NC State out of here. I'm throwing Duke out of here. But I'm not doing that. This is the bottom line 6. This is the most realistic. And trust me, there's people out there, UNC is not realistic. Virginia's not realistic. I'm here to tell you they are. They are very realistic. It's just that right there. That's the big pipe dream. It's not UNC. Miami's the pipe dream. And we'll see what happens. But I think the way it very well could shake out is these 6 right here. And I don't know if we can get 8 out of there. The media partners may say that's it. Those are great ads. That's all you're getting. However, if you get Miami somehow by hook or crook, if that miracle happens, then I think the media partners will say, okay, pick one of these 3 to take with you. Will it be Pitt? Will it be Syracuse? Will it be Georgia Tech? To me, those schools are amazingly close. I know everybody, every time you turn around, they're throwing Pitt in automatically because of West Virginia. Well, look, West Virginia, is getting Virginia Tech. I know it ain't the backyard brawl, damn it, but that's a big rivalry for them. Plus Virginia. Plus 2 North Carolina schools. Plus they could play Duke. They got rivals out the asshole now. So this becomes about the media partners and us working it out between these three right here. And that's only if we get Miami. If we don't get Miami, chances are none of those three are getting in. So that's a very realistic scenario. But yeah, just based off of me just looking at it, it's not going to be such an easy thing. Now, if I'm completely wrong and UNC ends up in the Big Two, then it could become something a little bit different. So let's look at that. Let's say I am just completely full of shit. UNC and Miami, and the SEC and the Big Ten add more schools than I think they would or could. All right, so now in this scenario, what do you got? You got 5. So now you need another one. All right, let's slide Pitt over here. Then chances are that's the chalk right there. However, what about NC State? They're politically tied to UNC. And I don't give a damn about what donors think about it. I don't care at all what the donors think. It's about what does ESPN want? What does Fox want? What are they willing to pay for? I seriously doubt they're going to put NC State in the SEC or put them in the Big Ten. That makes no sense. I know I'm against everybody on this, but I think UNC is coming to the Big 12. I mean, it's just kind of, it's starting to feel that way to me now. So, but definitely 6 schools. I think there's a chance for 8, and I don't think we get to 8 without Miami. If Miami is allowed to come, or they don't get the invite from the Big Ten, something crazy happens, or the SEC doesn't take anybody, and Florida State and Clemson go to the Big Ten, some crazy shit happens, then okay, but I don't know. I still feel Miami's going to the Big Ten, but somehow that doesn't happen, then you can easily see the Big 12 getting 8 teams out of there. But at least 6. At least 6. Well, we'll see if that best case scenario happens. Don't know. Don't count on it. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, thanks for watching this crap, and I'll be back with some other crap later. Bye.